You are not here anymore. You are not in your bed, not in your room, not in your time. Now, if you let go, you'll begin to feel it. The softness of wool against your skin, the weight of a sky heavy with snow, the hush of a world that breathes slowly like a sleeping beast. You are someone else now. You are a peasant in a village forgotten by maps, but remembered by the wind. The year. No one counts them here. Only the moon knows, and she keeps her secrets under a veil of cloud and candlelight. Your hands are rough with work, but steady. You know the smell of damp earth, of stew over fire, of smoke curling up through the thatch. Outside, the cold has come. Not a cruel cold, but a wise one. One that teaches you to listen, to notice, to draw close to warmth and wonder. You walk the muddy path between homes built from wattle and straw, where window shutters rattle like tired bones and the stars hide behind drifting snow. Inside, the hearth glows like a sleeping heart. Someone is telling a story. It might be your grandmother. It might be you. And here, in this story, in this long, quiet night, you will remember things you've never lived and forget the things that weighed you down. So lie back. Breathe as they did, slowly, deeply. Feel the blanket of time wrap around you. You are safe. You are warm. You are home. Let the cold come. You know how to survive it. They taught you well. Now, let the story begin. Where the seasons breathe and memory lingers. You wake before the sun. There is no rooster call, no clatter of hooves, only stillness. Stillness so deep you can hear the silence hum. The straw mattress beneath you crackles faintly as you shift. The wool blanket, coarse but familiar, is pulled tightly around your shoulders, and in the dim blue dark of morning you sense it. The change, not with your eyes, but your bones. Something has turned. The warmth of harvest has passed, and the cold, once distant, once whispered, is now here. You rise slowly, feet bare on the packed dirt floor, and tiptoe across the room so as not to wake the others. There, by the wooden door, your cloak hangs, still damp from yesterday's fog. It smells of sheep's wool and smoke and bramble. You pull it close. Its weight is comforting, like the arms of someone older than you, someone who has seen many winters. You unlatch the door, careful not to let it creak. Outside, the world glows faintly silver. The frost has come, not loudly, not with snow or storm, but quietly, gracefully, a delicate spell cast in the deep of night. The thatch rooftops are sugar-dusted. The wooden fence glistens, every splinter tipped in glass. Your breath forms in soft puffs, little ghosts of warmth. And the ground. It crackles gently beneath your feet, each step a soft breaking of the veil. The fields lie hushed beneath a film of white. Once golden with grain, they now sleep, resting, dreaming, waiting. The apple trees are nearly bare. A few withered fruits hang, forgotten, swaying like lanterns in the morning breeze. You walk to the garden plot. Frost clings to the kale and cabbage, crystal threaded like lace woven by winter spiders. A single pumpkin remains, half hidden in straw, its skin pale with cold, yet brave in the stillness. You crouch beside it, run your fingers across the frost, and remember a story, that when the first frost touches the last fruit, the spirits of the land begin to move again, not to haunt, but to guard, to walk the edges of fields, keeping watch. You rise, slowly, quietly. In the distance, chimney smoke begins to rise. One thread, then another, the village wakes. Not quickly, never quickly in this season, but with care, with reverence. Children will soon shuffle into boots lined with moss and straw. Mothers will feed the fire, stir the pot of yesterday's soup, and hum softly to themselves. Songs pass from mouth to mouth for generations. Songs about geese flying home, about stars that blink slower in winter. The well creaks in the wind. A raven, black as ink, lands on the stone wall and watches you. You nod. You are not alone. Even in this silence, you are surrounded, not just by people, but by memory, by the weight of every autumn that came before. The elders say the first frost is a message, a letter left on the doorstep by the wind itself. It says, now you must begin to slow. Now you must draw closer together. Now the long night begins. And you listen, because you are part of this land, its soil beneath your fingernails, its rhythm in your blood. You return home, fingers tingling, heart quiet. The door welcomes you like an old friend. The hearth is lit now, barely. Just a glow, enough to see the sleeping shapes of your kin. You place a log on the coals. Watch the flame catch like a memory rising. In the warmth, your breath softens. Your hands thaw, and for a moment, before the full day begins, you feel it. Not fear, not hardship, but peace. The kind of peace that comes only when the world is still, when the cold has settled, and you know you are ready. Ready for the turning, ready for the story, ready for the long, deep breath of winter, where wolves breathe and wool remembers. Not all warmth is made of fire. Some of it is woven. Some of it is built. And some of it lives quietly in the air between loved ones, never seen, but always felt. You live in a home that does not gleam or boast. It squats humbly on the earth, nestled beside the low hill, its edges softened by ivy and age. But it knows you, and you know it. It was raised not by architects, but by neighbors. Hands calloused from harvest, knuckles cracked from wind. They carried the timber one plank at a time. They twisted the wattle, willow and hazel, into crisscrossed walls, strong and flexible like living nets. Then came the daub, earth, straw, animal dung, and water, mixed by boot, by shovel, by song, pressed into the wood like thick bread dough. And when the walls dried, the house sighed its first breath. You remember it, because you helped build it. You were younger then, stronger in arm, lighter in thought. Now, years later, you sit in that same house as winter draws near, and the walls still remember your hands. Outside, the cold is sharpening. The sun creeps low across the sky, casting long golden bars through the cracks in the shutters. The wind curls around the edges of the cottage like a curious spirit, peeking in, looking for warmth. But it does not find a welcome. Inside, the house is layered like a nest, with wool and wood and woven time. You wear 3 tunics. The bottom layer is linen, the color of old parchment, soft from 100 washes. Above that, a rough brown shift of coarse wool, spun by your aunt and dyed with madder root in the last days of summer. And over that, a heavier cloak, dark green, edged in stitchwork done by your mother's trembling fingers. The wool is scratchy in places, comforting in others. You don't think of it as clothing. You think of it as a second skin, one you grew into each year as the cold returned. Wool is not just something you wear, it is something you live with. Wool is in the bedding, thick and heavy quilts, layered with patches from old tunics and baby wraps. Each square tells a story, a marriage, a death, a first step, a harvest moon. Wool is in the walls, stuffed into gaps behind tapestries. Old cloaks turned into insulation, holding back the breath of the wind. Wool is in the mittens left by the door, tiny ones for the children, too large for the baby, and a single red one that belonged to your brother, who vanished in the storm 3 winters ago. You keep it still, not for use but for memory. Even wool remembers. Above the fire, a spinning wheel rests in the shadows. It hasn't turned in weeks, but you remember the sound, soft and rhythmic, like a lullaby for the hands. You think of your grandmother, feet pattering against the treadle, her voice low as she spun stories into thread. She said each thread carried intention. If you spun with sorrow, the cloth would itch. If you spun with anger, it would unravel. So always, always, she spun with care. You believed her. The fire crackles, not with roaring heat, but with steady light. The kind of warmth that wraps itself around you slowly, like a cat curling against your legs. Above it, a pot simmers. The scent is simple. Leek and barley, perhaps a bone, but it fills the room like a feast. The children return from gathering twigs near the edge of the forest. They stamp their boots, cheeks pink and noses red. You brush the snow from their cloaks and tuck their hands between your own. Their fingers are cold, but they giggle and squirm and settle quickly by the fire. Their laughter makes the room warmer than the fire ever could. Your youngest pulls a blanket over their shoulders, wool, of course, dyed in faded patterns, the edges mended a dozen times. They say it was once part of a lord's tapestry, but you doubt that. Still, they believe it, and in their believing, it becomes true. Sometimes, on very cold nights, you all sleep in one room, 2 by 2, side by side, with the dog curled at the feet, the baby between the warmest bodies, the eldest beside the door, as if he could keep the cold from entering. You dream better on those nights, the kind of dreams that feel like memories, or perhaps futures, a fire that never goes out, a house that never leaks, a world where every night is warm. And even as the frost thickens outside, as the moon rises and the stars sharpen in the black sky, you are not afraid, because you understand something the cold never did. Warmth is not just the absence of cold. It is a presence, a craft, an art. And you are an artist, where the flame knows your name, and silence is a blanket. There is a warmth that begins before fire, a stillness that forms before the spark. You feel it long before the flame is born. In the breath of the house as it sleeps, in the quiet of the rafters, in the slow curl of mist outside the shutters, rising like memory from the frost-bitten ground. Your home is not large. It is not grand. It does not glitter or shine. It leans into the hillside like an old friend resting his back. Its beams are crooked. Its corners are soft with dust and cobweb. Its walls hold the scent of wood smoke, sheep wool, iron, and lavender dried 3 seasons ago. But still, it is beautiful. Not the beauty of a cathedral, but the beauty of something loved. And at the center of all this, of every breath, of every step, of every dream you've ever dreamed, is the hearth. The fire is not just warmth. It is not even just light. It is a keeper. It keeps the silence soft. It keeps the story safe. It keeps the world slow. You rise before the sun, as you always do in winter. Your feet touch the floor, cold as stone, and for a moment you pause. Not out of reluctance, but reverence. It is quiet. So quiet, you can hear the house breathing. the soft shift of wood expanding with cold, the faint rustle of straw beneath the roof, the sigh of wind pressing gently against the walls, as if asking, "May I come in?" You move carefully, wrapping your cloak around your shoulders, each step slow and certain. And then you kneel before the hearth, where the embers sleep. They are not dead. They are never truly dead. You brush aside a layer of fine ash, and underneath, the faintest glow, like a heartbeat, like a whisper. You cradle it with breath, soft and steady. You place dried twigs like an offering. You speak without speaking. And slowly, the light returns. First a flicker, then a stretch, then a flame. It leans towards you, like it remembers your face, like it forgives you for letting it dim, like it missed you. And you smile. The fire is awake now. You feed it carefully. Wood split and stacked months ago. Chosen for its dryness, its song. Because each type of wood sings differently when it burns. Oak groans like a slow drum. Birch crackles like a stream over stone. Pine hisses and whispers secrets through smoke. You listen. You always listen. Because the fire tells you things, without words, without voice. It tells you if the air is too wet. It tells you if snow is near. It tells you when someone you love is about to weep. Not all at once, but in its rhythm, in its size, in the way the light wraps itself around your shadow. The room begins to warm, and with it, the house begins to wake. One creak in the loft, a small cough from behind a wool curtain, the sound of feet sliding under blankets, not ready to rise just yet. You do not rush them. There is no need. The hearth is patient, and so are you. Above the flame, the pot is hung. It is heavy with use, blackened with memory. You cleaned it yesterday, but still it holds the scent of onion and thyme. You fill it again. A ladle of broth, a handful of dried peas, a few slices of last night's turnip, soft and sweet. There is no recipe, only instinct. The fire accepts it and begins to hum. Soon the scent will rise, soft and savory, twisting into the beams, curling into the fabric of the curtains, nestling in your hair. This is not just food. It is warmth made edible. It is the kind of meal that doesn't fill you with fullness, but with belonging. You sit now, not because there is nothing to do, but because this is what must be done. To sit, to warm your hands, to breathe in the scent of soup and smoke, to watch the light move across the floor. Time here does not tick, it expands, it deepens, it folds itself gently around you like a shawl. Your children come slowly, rubbing sleep from their eyes, hair wild with dreams. They know not to speak loudly. The house is still listening. They curl beside the hearth. One brings a doll made of straw. Another opens a book too worn to read, but still loved for the feel of its pages. The dog settles at your feet with a deep sigh, as if this moment, this exact warmth, this exact silence, is everything it ever needed. And you think, this is enough. You remember other winters, winters of storm, of grief, of hunger, winters where the fire was all you had, when its glow held back the dark, not just outside, but inside. And still it burned, still it listened, still it forgave. Even now, it watches you, as you stitch the torn sleeve of your son's cloak, as you count the remaining jars of pickled roots, as you whisper a blessing into the broth. And when night returns again, when the wind sharpens and snow piles high outside, you will gather here once more. The fire will be waiting. It always is. And as the flame dances upon the walls, casting shadows of your face onto beams carved by your grandfather's knife, you will remember, not in your mind, but in your bones, that this is home. Not the walls, not the roof, not the door that creaks on cold mornings, but this circle of warmth, this flame of memory, this heart that beats without a body, this hearth, your hearth, the hearth that held your first cry, and perhaps one day will hold your last breath, but not yet. Tonight you are alive. Tonight the fire burns, and that is enough. Where a bubbling pot becomes a cauldron of memory, and silence speaks louder than spells. There is a moment before the first light, before the sun rises to touch the earth, before the world stirs and stretches beneath its woolen blanket of frost. In that moment, soft, fragile, you are awake. The house is quiet, not the silence of emptiness, but the silence of waiting, of breath held tenderly between heartbeats. You rise slowly. The floor beneath your bare feet is cold, but not unkind. It reminds you that winter is near, that frost will soon settle on every blade of grass, that nights will grow long and deep. Your cloak hangs heavy on the peg. You wrap it around your shoulders like a shield and step toward the hearth. The embers are small, buried beneath a thin veil of ash, but they still breathe. You breathe with them. A whispered breath, a soft coaxing, and the embers awaken. They flare gently, spreading light like a dawn within the darkness of the room. You add kindling. Dry twigs snap from last summer's pruning, crackling as they catch flame. The fire stretches upward, reaching for the iron pot that hangs above. Inside the pot, water waits, cold and still, held like a secret. You pour it slowly in, watching how it flows, how it settles around the roots and herbs you have prepared. There is a magic here, ancient and quiet. It is not the kind of magic that leaps with spells and incantations. No robes swirl, no words are shouted. This magic is slow, woven in the rhythms of everyday life. It lives in the hands that peel roots, in the soft scrape of the knife against wood, in the steam rising gently from a pot, in the warmth spreading from the hearth to the farthest corners of the room. You drop a handful of thyme into the water. It curls like smoke, a whisper of the earth's own breath. Bay leaves follow, dark and heavy with history. Garlic with its strong scent, grounded and fierce. Parsnip and carrot, peeled with care, shaped into moons and crescents. You stir gently. The wooden spoon moves slowly in circles, an unspoken prayer. The soup begins to murmur, soft bubbles rising and breaking like the breath of the house itself. Outside, the world is still. The trees stand bare, skeletal against the grey sky, their branches scraping softly in the wind. But inside, the air is thick with promise. The scent of herbs fills the room, carrying memories of summers long past, of gardens tended by your mother's careful hands, of laughter shared beneath blue skies. The baby stirs in the corner, small fingers reaching toward the warmth. Your dog lifts its head, nose twitching, then settles back, comforted by the familiar scents. The room is quiet, but it is not empty. It holds stories, stories of healing, of survival, of quiet magic passed from one hand to another. Your grandmother's hands come to mind. She was a woman of little words, but her presence spoke volumes. She taught you to listen, not just to the sick body, but to the space around it, to the silence between coughs, to the pause between breaths. She believed that healing was as much about attention as ingredients. That magic lived in the care given with a steady hand, and in the patient waiting for the soup to become more than the sum of its parts. Some whispered she was a witch. You know she was only wise. You taste the broth. It is still thin, still young. You add barley, a handful of dried mushrooms gathered from the shadowed forest paths, a drop of honey from last summer's harvest. Each addition is deliberate, each a step in a slow dance with the fire. You wait, you watch, you breathe. Your family begins to wake. The eldest pulls on thick wool socks, the younger rubs sleepy eyes, and the baby, now fully awake, babbles softly. They come to the table slowly. No words are spoken at first. There is no need. The soup fills more than stomachs. It fills hearts. And here, in the silence between sips, something unseen passes. A healing, a spell. Not cast with wands or voices raised, but with shared warmth, with the steady rhythm of a spoon stirring, with the gathering of roots and herbs and memories. You smile softly. You know this is the true sorcery, the quiet power of care, the magic of home. You sit back, watching the fire flicker. Outside, the wind may howl, but here, inside, the fire hums, and the soup bubbles on, where the night wraps you in quiet light, and dreams are woven from silver threads. The day moves slowly toward its end, a gentle journey that unravels the golden light of afternoon and carefully lays it down beneath the hills. The sky shifts from warm golds to soft lilacs, then deep blues like a vast ocean waiting to carry you away. The first stars begin to flicker awake, tentative pinpricks of light, scattered like diamonds spilled across velvet cloth. They blink and shimmer, winking at the earth below as if sharing secrets. Inside your small, humble home, the fire's glow softens to glowing embers, their warmth like a quiet heartbeat pulsing in the dark. You move slowly through the space, breathing in the stillness, feeling the gentle hush wrap around you. The children's eyes grow heavy, their bodies folding into themselves like soft petals closing at dusk. The blankets are waiting. They hang folded on hooks, draped over benches, each one a patchwork of history and hope. Wool spun from summer's shearing, woven by hands that understood the language of seasons and stars. Dyed with earth's colors, deep browns, soft grays, faded greens, and the occasional splash of wildflower blue. Each piece of cloth holds a story, some soft and worn with countless washes, others new and bright with promise. You run your fingers along the stitches, feeling the pulse of countless nights woven into the fabric, hands that stitched with love and patience, hearts that prayed for warmth and safety in the long, cold nights to come. The blankets smell of lavender tucked into folds, the sweetness of fresh wool, and the faint whisper of rain and fields under an open sky. You pull a blanket close, heavy and comforting, and gently drape it over the sleeping child. Their small hands clutch the soft fabric, curled like tiny birds settling into a nest. One by one, you cover the others, pulling the blankets up to their chins, tucking each edge with tender care, ensuring no draft can find its way inside. You wrap yourself in your own blanket, the coarse wool a reminder that warmth is not always soft, but always steady, always real. Outside, night deepens its hold. Stars multiply, scattering like silver dust across the ink-black sky. The moon rises, slow and steady, a pale guardian casting gentle beams through the window. Silver paths stretch across the wooden floorboards, as if the moonlight itself were wrapping the house in a luminous embrace. You imagine the blankets capturing that light, woven with threads of moonbeam and starlight. Soft silver strands hidden deep in the wool, stitched by hands guided by the ancient rhythm of night. The wind whispers beyond the walls, rustling through the bare branches of old trees, their limbs creaking slowly like the soft groans of the earth. A distant owl calls, a low, haunting melody carried on the chill night air. The house breathes with its own quiet rhythm, the warmth of soft breathing, the gentle rustle of blankets, the occasional sigh or soft movement in sleep. The world contracts to this moment, a fragile bubble of stillness and care. Your grandmother's voice echoes softly in your mind. She spoke of blankets not as mere cloth, but as living talismans, woven from the very light of the moon and stars. She said that sheep who grazed beneath the full moon's glow carried the night's magic in their fleece, and those who spun and wove the wool wove that magic into every stitch, a silent promise of protection and warmth, a shield against cold and fear. Each stitch was a whispered prayer, each patch a hope sewn with steady hands. When you wrap yourself in those blankets, you are wrapped not just in wool, but in the watchful care of the moon's gaze and the endless vigil of the stars. You sit beside the dying fire. The embers glow faintly, tiny hearts pulsing in the ash. Smoke curls upward in slow spirals, a delicate dance fading into the dark rafters. You breathe deeply, feeling the weight of the day dissolve. The blankets hold you close. They carry the warmth of the hearth, the love of your family, and the quiet magic of the night sky. Your eyelids grow heavy. The edges of the room soften. The world slows. You drift, slowly, gently, into sleep. Tonight, the moon keeps its silent watch. The stars sing their quiet lullabies. And wrapped in blankets woven from light and memory, you dream. Dream of warmth. Dream of home. Dream of peaceful, endless nights. Outside, the village sleeps beneath a canopy of stars. The wind carries soft songs from distant hills. The earth hums a quiet lullaby. And you are held safe, held warm, held in the timeless embrace of night. Where ice whispers secrets and warmth is a guarded treasure. Beyond the towering stone walls of the castle, the world lies cloaked in silence and frost. A hush deep and wide, stretched thin over the land like a soft white blanket, spreading slowly as the breath of winter sighs across the fields and forests. The wind moves like a quiet ghost, whispering secrets only the night can understand, curling icy fingers through the leafless branches, skimming over frozen ponds, and tracing fragile frost patterns on the wooden shutters of the village cottages. You stand just beyond the great oak gates, where the chill bites into your fingers and pulls tightly at your cloak, the woolen fabric flapping softly like a fragile shield against the sharp air. Your breath blossoms into small clouds, soft puffs of mist drifting upward and fading into the dark sky, carrying away your worries with each exhale. The earth beneath your feet is hard and unforgiving, covered in a crust of frost that crunches softly with every step, a whispered reminder of the cold's patient dominion. Far beyond, the forest slumbers under a heavy quilt of snow, its ancient trees bowed low beneath the weight of winter's touch, their gnarled branches creaking in quiet protest like old bones shifting beneath the night. You clutch a small wooden bowl, still warm from the stew shared within the village hearth, the heat seeping slowly through your fingers, a tiny fire burning bright against the vast cold. Around you, torches flicker in the biting wind, their flames dancing shadows upon the castle's stone walls, struggling bravely to hold back the darkness that creeps closer with every passing moment. Inside, the castle is a different world altogether, a sanctuary of warmth, light, and life. Great fires roar in the hearths, casting golden light that spills over tapestries heavy with stories, their colors rich and deep, muffling the cold's persistent whispers. Thick woolen blankets are folded carefully, ready to cocoon tired bodies and restless spirits, while voices drift low in quiet conversation, the gentle hum of human presence weaving through the air. But here, outside the walls, the cold is a living, breathing thing. It slips beneath cloaks and threads its way through cracks, singing sharp and high with the restless wind, howling in the distance like hungry wolves circling in the dark. You pull your cloak tighter, feeling the sting of ice against your cheeks, the weight of the frost pressing on your shoulders, a quiet reminder that the cold never truly sleeps. Your boots sink slightly into the frozen earth, each step steady and deliberate, an act of quiet courage in the face of winter's endless embrace. The cold teaches patience. It teaches resilience. It teaches the value of every small spark of warmth. How precious the flicker of a candle's flame. How sacred the glow of a hearth fire. With each breath, you learn to treasure the heat in your chest, the steady beat of your heart, and the promise of home waiting just beyond the gates. The heavy oak gates creak open slowly, a deep sound swallowed by the night. You step through the threshold, and the cold fades like a forgotten memory. The warmth wraps around you, soft and embracing, like the arms of someone who has waited for your return. Fires roar in great hearths, their flames licking stone and iron, casting dancing shadows that play against the walls. Tapestries hang thick and soft, their folds absorbing the cold and holding the heat close. You shed your cloak slowly, feeling the fire's glow soak deep into your chilled skin. Inside, the world feels alive. Voices murmur, soft laughter, the clink of wooden bowls, the low hum of stories shared beside the flame. The scent of burning wood mingles with the faint aroma of stew and fresh bread. You take your place among friends and family, shoulders close, bodies warm. No words are needed. The fire's glow speaks volumes. You carry the cold's lesson in your bones. How to hold warmth close, how to cherish safety, how to gather those you love beneath blankets and stories and firelight. As night deepens and embers soften to glowing hearts, you know the cold still waits outside the castle walls. But here, within these stones, within this circle of warmth and light, you are safe. You are home. The cold may howl and wander the night, but you rest wrapped in the steady pulse of the hearth, held by the quiet magic of fire, family, and refuge. And as sleep comes soft and sure, you carry the strength of the night's cold with you, a quiet reminder of resilience, courage, and the deep comfort of a warm home, where flickering flames carry whispers of the past, and the night cradles soft dreams. The evening slips slowly into the arms of night, the sky outside deepening from soft shades of twilight to the deep velvet of evening, where stars quietly begin to appear. Tentative points of light, like gentle sparks caught in the vast dark. Inside your humble home, the hearth glows low and warm, its flames flickering softly against the worn stone walls, casting shadows that dance and stretch like ancient spirits. The fire breathes slowly, its quiet crackling a soft song in the stillness. Its warmth spills gently across the room, touching every corner with a golden glow, a steady heartbeat in the cool air. You settle near the fire, the smooth stone cool beneath your feet, the scent of burning wood mingling with faint hints of herbs drying nearby. sage, rosemary, and thyme. Their fragrance, a quiet thread woven into the night. Around you, your family moves softly, pulling blankets close, their whispers blending with the fire's murmurs, the gentle clink of wooden bowls, and the slow, easy rhythm of evening routines. The firelight seems to hold a magic all its own, a language without words, speaking directly to your heart, carrying the weight of centuries past and the hope of many tomorrows. As you watch the flames, their tongues leaping and curling like living things, memories rise softly, stories told beside this very hearth long ago, passed down like treasure from hand to hand, tales of brave souls and quiet heroes, of winters survived and dreams that carried people through dark, cold nights when the world seemed vast and unforgiving. The firelight weaves these stories into the air, wrapping around you like a soft tapestry of memory and hope. Your eyes close gently, and behind your lids, the flicker of shadows shifts and sways. You see the ancient forest, its branches heavy with snow, the crunch of boots on frozen earth, and the faint glow of lanterns swaying in the night. You see faces, familiar and kind, your ancestors gathered close, their voices a soft murmur beneath the crackle of the flames. The fire's warmth seeps deeper now, melting away the chill of the day, and you feel your body relax, sinking into the soft embrace of the night. Between waking and sleeping, where the world blurs and time stretches thin, where the boundary between reality and dreams dissolves like smoke. In this tender space, dreams begin to stir, dreams spun from firelight and whispered wishes, from the soft touch of woolen blankets and the steady beat of hearts joined in quiet kinship. You imagine yourself lifted gently, carried on the breath of the flames, floating across fields of wildflowers under moonlit skies painted with silver and indigo. You drift beside rivers that gleam like mirrors, their waters calm and deep, reflecting constellations that pulse softly in the night. The night carries its own rhythm, a slow, steady pulse that matches the gentle rise and fall of your breath. Outside, the wind hums softly through the trees, its voice an ancient lullaby, older than any story told aloud. The fire dims slowly to glowing embers, but its warmth remains, a quiet heartbeat in the cool darkness. You nestle deeper into your blankets, feeling their soft weight, the familiar scratch of wool against skin, the scent of earth and hearth and home. Your eyelids grow heavy, the room softens around you, the edges of the world blur and fade. You let go, drifting deeper, gently falling, into dreams woven by firelight. Tonight, the flames watch over you, whispering songs of safety and peace, cradling you in the timeless magic of the night. And as sleep carries you away, you are wrapped in warmth, held safe by the steady glow of the hearth and the endless dance of dreams. Outside, the village sleeps beneath a vast sky, the stars keeping silent vigil, while the moon casts a silver glow across snow-covered fields. The world holds its breath, held in the quiet embrace of night, and you rest, soft, still, and warm, where the hush of winter holds its breath, and snow whispers ancient songs. The night stretches wide and still, a vast blanket of silence wraps softly around the sleeping earth. The stars hang like distant lanterns in the velvet sky, their cold light shimmering through the thin air, while the moon drifts slowly, pale and steady, casting a silver glow that touches every branch, every stone, every roof. Outside, the world has changed beneath a gentle snowfall. The first flakes drift down quietly, each one a delicate masterpiece, unique in shape, a tiny crystal spun from the breath of the clouds. They float slowly, lazily, like feathers dropped from some unseen bird, settling without a sound. The snow gathers in waves across the fields, transforming hills and ditches into soft mounds of white. It settles on tree limbs, bending them low as if bowing to the night, coating every surface in a shimmering glaze of frost. You stand at the window, your breath fogging the glass as you watch the snow collect. The cold air beyond is sharp but still. There is no wind tonight, only the hush of falling snowflakes, a silence so deep it seems to hold the whole world's secrets. The snow sings a silent song, a song of stillness, a melody woven from sky and earth, from frozen water and quiet air. It is a song you can only hear with your heart, soft and slow, endless as the night. The village sleeps beneath its white cloak. Footsteps crunch faintly on icy paths. A lone figure wrapped in thick wool moves carefully through the snow, each breath a puff of silver mist. The trees wear heavy coats of snow, their branches creaking softly in the stillness. Old limbs moving slowly beneath winter's weight. Even the animals seem hushed. A fox's paw prints pause at the edge of the forest. A small bird settles quietly beneath a snowy bough. The silence here is not empty. It is full of unseen music. Music carried by the snowflakes, woven from the cold touch of night, from the soft shimmer of frost under moonlight, from the gentle falling of the silent flakes. You listen with your whole being. Inside, the hearth glows warmly, its fire crackling and sighing softly. The flickering flames cast a golden light that dances on wooden walls, painting the room with shadows that seem alive. Old friends telling stories in light and dark. The scent of burning wood mingles with the faint aroma of herbs drying nearby. Sage, rosemary, thyme, their fragrances weaving a quiet spell of comfort and safety. You sit close to the fire, feeling its warmth seep slowly through your body, melting away the chill of the day. The steady rhythm of the flames mirrors your own breathing, slow and even, a heartbeat in the quiet night. Around you, blankets are pulled closer, woolen threads soft and heavy, wrapped snugly around tired bodies. The firelight seems to weave its own magic, drawing the stories of winters past out of the shadows, wrapping them gently around your heart. You close your eyes briefly, and in the dance of the flames behind your lids, you see the snow-covered forest, the hush of night, the soft footprints of those who walked before. The snow's song drifts on the wind, a melody that travels over frozen rivers and silent fields, whispering secrets to the stars hanging bright above. You think of the children nestled beneath thick blankets, their dreams carried on the same silent breeze, woven from moonlight, wool, and quiet wishes. The snow sings a lullaby, soft, slow, and endless, a hymn to stillness, to waiting, to the gentle passage of time. Though the cold outside is vast and biting, there is no fear here, only wonder. The snow transforms the familiar world into a place of quiet enchantment, where even the darkest night holds light, and every flake carries a touch of magic. You breathe deeply, feeling the hush of winter settle deep into your bones, the silence singing softly through your very being. Your eyelids grow heavy, the world around you softens and blurs, and you let yourself drift, slowly, gently, into the embrace of sleep. Tonight, the snow watches over you, singing its silent song beneath the vast sky, wrapping the earth in its cool, tender embrace. And as dreams come softly, you rest wrapped in the quiet magic of snow, held safe, held warm, cradled by the gentle lullaby of the silent night. Outside, the village breathes softly beneath the stars, each roof and tree a note in the great winter chorus, as the night carries its endless song onward into dreams and beyond, where ancient magic meets quiet courage, and the cold finds its gentle end. The cold had come like a creeping shadow, soft and silent, but relentless, spreading its icy fingers slowly across the village and the fields beyond. Each morning, the world awoke glazed in frost, the delicate crystals glimmering like diamonds in the early light, turning every leaf and blade of grass into a fragile sculpture. The rivers, once lively and flowing, had grown still and glassy, their surface locked beneath a thick, shimmering sheet of ice. And the nights stretched long, longer than you could count, spilling dark and cold over the earth like an endless sea. You feel the chill pressing against your skin, a weight settling deep into your bones as you walk the familiar paths. The crunch of frozen earth underfoot is sharp and brittle, and the cold air is a biting breath against your cheeks and fingers. Around you, the villagers move quietly, their faces drawn tight against the cold, their steps careful and measured. Inside their cottages, the fires burn low, flickering faintly against the stone, a fragile light battling to hold back the relentless night. Whispers drift like smoke through the village streets. Tales of a woman who lives beyond the dark forest, a witch whose name is spoken softly, with a mix of fear, respect, and wonder. She is said to command the very winter winds, to weave magic from the snow and frost itself, to call forth the thaw with a voice as soft as snowflakes falling. In your mind's eye, you follow the winding path that leads through the ancient trees, their bare branches etched like delicate black lace against the fading sky. Frost clings to every twig and limb, sparkling in the pale light of the moon. The forest breathes quietly around you, its silence vast and full of secrets, and the crunch of your footsteps echoes softly in the stillness. Her cottage is small and hidden beneath a canopy of evergreens, the roof heavy with snow, icicles hanging like glass daggers from its edges. A thin wisp of smoke curls from the chimney, carrying with it the warm, earthy sense of pine, herbs, and something sweet, perhaps dried flowers or honey warmed over the fire. The door opens before you even knock, and a soft glow spills out, warm and golden in the deepening dusk. Inside, the witch moves with quiet grace, her hands weaving patterns in the air, as if stitching the very fabric of the night. Her voice rises in a low, melodic hum, a song older than the trees, a melody carried by the winds and whispered through the branches. She calls to the spirits of winter and earth, speaking a language known only to the wild places, to the animals that watch silently from the shadows, to the snowflakes drifting gently through the sky. The villagers once feared her magic, thinking it dark and dangerous, but you know she uses her power not to harm but to heal. She mends the frostbitten earth, warms the frozen roots, and soothes the harsh grip of winter with patience and care. Her spells are gentle as feathers, woven from hope and kindness, each word a stitch in the quilt of survival, each gesture a promise whispered to the frozen world. One night, when the moon hung full and bright over the snow-covered land, the witch stepped into the clearing at the forest's edge. Her breath rose in soft mist, and the snow lay thick beneath her feet, silent and watchful, as if waiting for her song. She raised her hands to the sky, her voice rising and falling in a melody that wrapped the stars in silver threads, a lullaby for the frozen earth. a prayer to the spirit of winter itself. Her magic spread outward in gentle waves, a soft glow pulsing from her fingertips, melting frost from leaves, thawing ice on the rivers, calling warmth back to the slumbering soil. Slowly, the cold began to retreat, like a tide pulling back from the shore, leaving the land breathing once again beneath the moon's gentle gaze. Back in the village, warmth returned. Fires in the hearths blazed brighter, their flames flickering like joyful spirits awakening from a long sleep. The people stirred from their anxious rest, feeling the thaw in their bones, the soft promise of spring whispered on the wind. The witch's song lingered in the air, an unseen thread tying the village together, a quiet shield against the cruelty of winter. You imagine yourself wrapped in your warmest cloak, standing beside the hearth's comforting blaze, the soft weight of blankets drawn close around your family. Outside, the night air is still and gentle, the wind no longer howling but singing a soft lullaby, carried from the witch's clearing to every home. As you lay your head down to rest, you carry her magic with you, a quiet reminder that even in the deepest cold, there is always warmth, there is always hope, and there is always care. And as sleep wraps its gentle arms around you, you are held safe, held warm, held in the tender embrace of the witch who stopped the winter, where simple comforts hold ancient secrets, and the night wraps you in soft whispers. The world outside your cottage is draped in the hush of twilight, where shadows lengthen like whispered secrets across the fields. The air is cool, sharp with the promise of approaching night, and the first stars begin their slow dance across the deepening sky. A pale crescent moon rises gently, casting a tender glow that glimmers softly through the small window panes. Inside, the hearth's warm glow flickers and breathes, its amber flames painting the room in a gentle golden light. The scent of burning wood mingles with the faint, comforting aroma of dried herbs hung carefully from the ceiling: sage, lavender, rosemary. Each bundle a silent guardian of home and hearth. Your feet find the familiar path across the rough wooden floor, worn smooth by generations of footsteps. Each groove a quiet story etched in time. Before you lies the bed, humble in its simplicity, a sturdy wooden frame cradling a thick mattress of golden straw, covered by layers of soft woolen blankets spun from the sheep grazing on the rolling hills nearby. At first glance, the straw mattress may seem like little more than a pile of dried stalks, but you know better. You know that within those brittle stalks lies a secret older than any tale, a magic born not from spells but from the very earth itself. The straw mattress is a silent keeper of summer's warmth, woven from the golden harvest of sun-soaked fields, each stalk carrying the memory of gentle breezes and bright skies. It is a treasure harvested at the end of long days, when the air was thick with the scent of ripening grain, and the world hummed with life. You imagine the hands that gathered this straw, strong and weathered from years of tending the land, fingers nimble and practiced as they bound the stalks carefully together, layer upon layer, weaving comfort for the cold months ahead. Beneath you, the straw shifts with a soft, rustling whisper, like the faint murmur of a meadow breeze in the quiet evening. It breathes beneath your body, a living quilt spun from the earth's own heart. Above the straw lie heavy woolen blankets, dense and warm, dyed with earth tones and simple patterns. The wool, thick and soft, traps the gentle heat of the hearth close to your skin, wrapping you in a cocoon of familiar comfort and security. The blankets carry faint traces of lanolin and wildflowers, a subtle scent that speaks of pastures and open skies, and the tender care of those who wove them by hand. As you nestle into the bed, the weight of the blanket settles around you like a protective embrace, softening the sharp edges of the cold world outside. The firelight dances gently on the walls, casting shadows that flicker like old friends bidding you good night. The secret of the straw bed is more than warmth. It is a quiet magic, woven from centuries of simple living, a balm against the harshness of the world. It holds the whispered prayers of ancestors, the songs sung softly to calm restless minds, the dreams spun beneath the watchful gaze of countless stars. You feel the warmth gather slowly around your body, a steady pulse of comfort and peace, pulling the cold away like the slow retreat of winter's chill. The rustling of the straw beneath you murmurs old lullabies, echoes of summer breezes and golden fields, the gentle hum of life itself. You close your eyes, letting the soft rhythm of the night seep into your bones, the weight of the day melting away like mist in the morning sun. Tonight, the straw bed is your sanctuary, a quiet haven beneath the vast and endless sky. Though winter's chill lingers beyond the door, inside these walls you are wrapped in the earth's own warmth. The mattress and blankets hold the memory of sunlit days, of harvests gathered and hands working in harmony with the land, of the gentle passing of seasons, each one folded softly into the next. You breathe slowly and deeply, the steady rhythm of your breath matching the soft crackle of the dying fire, the whispered sighs of the straw mattress, and the quiet beating of your own heart. As your thoughts grow softer, and your body relaxes fully into rest, dreams begin their gentle weaving, threads of warmth, safety, and endless comfort. Outside, the village sleeps beneath a canopy of stars, each cottage glowing softly in the night, a constellation of warmth scattered across the dark earth. The wind carries faint echoes of old songs, ancient melodies sung to calm the night and protect the fragile light within. And as the hours stretch on, you drift ever deeper into sleep, cradled by the timeless secret of the straw bed, held safe, held warm, held in the gentle heart of home, where clever eyes watch the night, and the wild meets the warm glow of home. The village lies quiet beneath a tapestry of stars, its timbered houses resting softly under a heavy blanket of night. The hearth fires glow faintly behind small windows, casting flickering pools of golden light on frost-laced rooftops. Outside, the air is crisp and still, wrapped in a hush that stretches wide across the sleeping land. But the night is not empty. From the edge of the ancient forest, a pair of eyes gleam like twin lanterns, bright, alert, and wise. The fox moves silently through the underbrush, his rust-red fur glowing faintly in the pale moonlight, a living ember against the deep shadows. You stand at the boundary between the village and the wild woods, listening to the soft rustle of leaves beneath the fox's paws, feeling the cool breath of night air on your face and the quiet pulse of life that hums beneath the stillness. This fox is no ordinary creature. He is a guardian spirit born from the earth itself, a keeper of the village's safety through the long, dark hours. With a coat like burnished copper and eyes shining like molten amber, he knows the forest's every secret path, the language of the wind, and the silent songs of the stars. The villagers speak of him only in whispers, a flicker in the woods, a shadow slipping just beyond the reach of the firelight, a glimpse of flame-colored fur vanishing into the night. Yet his presence is as constant as the turning of the seasons, as sure as the slow dance of the moon across the sky. The fox watches tirelessly, his senses attuned to every whisper of the wind, every crackle of frost beneath an unseen footfall, every breath of cold air carrying the faintest hint of danger. He moves with grace and purpose along the boundary between wild and tame, slipping silently between the towering oaks and spruces, his paws pressing softly into the frozen earth, barely stirring the blanket of snow. The forest listens to him. The owls quiet their calls, the nightbirds hush their songs, as if honoring his sacred vigil. He is both wild and wise, a creature of cunning and care, an ancient bridge between the untamed woods and the warmth of the village hearths. Within the cottages, the villagers sleep deeply, wrapped in woolen blankets and warmed by steady fires. Children dream of sunlit fields and gentle animals, their chests rising and falling with peaceful breaths. Unseen but never absent, the fox patrols the borders of safety, his keen eyes scanning the darkness for threats, his very presence a shield against the cold and the unknown. You imagine following him on his nightly rounds, walking softly through moonlit lanes, feeling the cool whisper of the wind through your hair, hearing the delicate crunch of frost beneath your feet. His eyes meet yours in the stillness, bright and deep, filled with ancient wisdom and quiet kindness. In that glance, you understand the bond between the wild and the home, between protector and protected, between the unseen magic of the night and the safety of hearth and heart. As the hours pass and the moon arcs slowly overhead, the fox's watch continues, steadfast and sure. He moves unseen among shadows and stars, a flicker of flame in the darkness, a guardian woven from the very fabric of night. When the first blush of dawn tints the eastern sky, soft pinks and gold spilling gently over the horizon, the fox slips silently back into the forest's embrace, his duty done until the next quiet night. The village awakens with the sun's warm light, safe and whole, cradled beneath the vigilant eyes of the fox who guarded the night. Tonight, as you close your eyes, carry with you the fox's quiet strength, a gentle reminder that even in the deepest darkness, there is always a protector, always a light, always a gentle guardian watching over you. And as sleep enfolds you in its soft embrace, you rest held safe, held warm, held in the wild and tender heart of the night, where darkness meets its gentle rival, and the village celebrates the turning tide. The longest night has quietly crept over the village, stretching wide and deep, wrapping the earth in a thick, velvety cloak of shadow. The stars twinkle softly above, scattered across the deep indigo sky like distant, watching eyes. The moon hangs low, a pale silver crescent, casting soft light that drapes the frosted branches and snow-covered rooftops in a shimmering, ethereal glow. The cold presses gently against the wooden walls of every cottage, seeping through cracks and lingering like a quiet visitor. But inside, a different warmth stirs, a light kindled in hearths and hearts alike, waiting to bloom into celebration. The villagers prepare for the Festival of Light, an ancient rite passed down through countless generations, a celebration born from the need to chase away winter's deepest chill, to bring hope and warmth into the longest, darkest hours. As twilight deepens, you step out into the crisp, clean air, breathing in the mingled scents of pine needles, burning wood, and spiced cider. You feel the gentle crunch of frost beneath your feet as you walk along familiar paths, lined with cottages decked in garlands of holly and ivy, their green leaves shining with tiny beads of frozen dew. Families gather slowly in the village square, their faces glowing in the firelight, their breath rising in soft clouds that drift and disappear into the night. Each person carries a lantern, delicately woven from twigs and leaves, crafted with care over many days, its fragile form glowing softly from the candle's flickering flame within. The lanterns are more than light, they are promises. Tiny vessels of hope, carrying the warmth of summer sun trapped inside glass and wax, holding fast against the cold and dark. The procession begins in silence, save for the soft footsteps and the gentle murmur of voices. The lanterns move slowly, a shimmering river of golden light that flows through the village streets, weaving between stone cottages and frozen streams, casting dancing shadows on snow-dusted rooftops and frost-covered cobblestones. The elders begin to sing, their voices low and haunting, rising and falling like the wind through the bare branches. Their ancient melodies speak of the turning wheel of the year, the promise of the sun's return, the quiet endurance of the earth beneath the snow's cold blanket. You feel the song stirring in your chest, a slow, steady beat of hope and warmth that pushes back against the night's chill. At the heart of the village stands a great bonfire, a towering pyramid of wood and branches, waiting patiently for its moment to blaze. The eldest among the villagers steps forward, her hand steady despite the cold, flint striking stone with a sharp spark that catches and grows. The fire leaps to life with a roar, its flames reaching skyward, hungry and bright. Its warmth spills out like a golden tide, washing over the crowd in waves of heat and light. Shadows dance wildly on faces and walls, on garlands of holly and ivy hung with care, casting the village square into a living tapestry of fire and frost. The festival continues late into the night, wrapped in the warmth of stories told by firelight. Old tales rise from lips worn soft by years of telling. Stories of brave ancestors, clever foxes who guarded the village, and quiet magic whispered between the trees. The villagers share hearty stews and crusty bread, sipping sweet, spiced cider that warms from within. Children gather close, eyes wide and shining with wonder, their imaginations catching fire in the flickering glow. The cold night falls away here, lost in the glow of laughter and song. As the fire burns low and the embers glow a soft red, a deep peace settles over the village, a quiet promise whispered on the wind. Even in the longest night, the light will never truly fade. The sun will rise again, the earth will warm, and life will bloom once more. You wrap yourself in your warmest cloak, feeling the pulse of the fire's warmth settle deep in your chest, and as your eyelids grow heavy, you carry the soft light of the festival with you, a beacon to guide you through the night. Tonight, beneath the vast and starry sky, you rest wrapped in the gentle glow of hope, held safe, held warm, held in the light that endures beyond all darkness, where winter whispers its secret songs, and the world listens in stillness. The morning light spills softly over the village, like a gentle breath awakening the sleeping earth. It touches each rooftop and branch with a pale, silvery glow, a soft caress that makes the frost sparkle like scattered diamonds. The air is crisp and clean, carrying the faint, fresh scent of pine needles and frozen earth. Outside, the world wears its winter crown. Icicles hang like delicate crystal daggers from every eave and bough, catching the newborn sunlight and scattering it into tiny rainbows that dance playfully on the snow-covered ground below. You stand quietly at the edge of the village, watching as a slender breeze stirs the frozen world, and the icicles sway with a slow, measured rhythm, like silent musicians playing a frozen symphony only the patient can hear. Each icicle is a note in winter's secret song, each glint a whispered word in the ancient language of ice. They do not sing with sound, but with light. Soft, shimmering melodies carried on the cold breath of the wind. If you listen closely, you might catch the faintest echo of their delicate music, woven from frost's gentle touch and the slow crystallization of water. The icicles tell stories of the long, quiet night, tales of breath frozen in the air, moonlight captured and held tight within glassy prisons, and the slow, patient dance of water and cold, turning liquid dreams into solid crystals that hang like jewels in the sun. Around you, the village stirs beneath this shimmering canopy, the icicles casting fractured rainbows across frosted window panes and sparkling like scattered stars on the thatched roofs. You imagine the hands that built these cottages, rough, steady hands working with care to craft roofs strong enough to hold back the heavy snow and protect the lives within. The knowledge of winter's bite and how to withstand it has passed down through countless generations, a quiet wisdom as old as the trees themselves. Children burst outside in a flurry of laughter and breath, their joy sparkling brighter than the icicles themselves. They run and chase, the crunch of snow beneath their boots, ringing like soft bells on the still air. Some catch the falling shards of ice, holding them carefully up to the light, marveling at the tiny frozen worlds trapped inside, perfect, fragile, and fleeting. They whisper secrets to the icicles, their voices mixing with the silent music of the frozen morning. As the sun climbs higher in the pale winter sky, its warmth begins the slow, gentle work of change. The icicles respond with tiny drops of water forming at their tips, liquid tears falling softly to the frozen earth below, singing the language of thaw and renewal. You watch the water trace delicate, shimmering paths down wooden beams, feel the gentle pulse of the earth beneath the melting ice. A quiet promise whispered beneath the breath of the wind, that even winter, in all its cold and stillness, must yield to the turning of the seasons. The song of the icicles slowly fades into silence, but their message lingers, a reminder of patience, of beauty found in quiet stillness, and the gentle power of transformation. You turn back toward the warmth of your cottage, carrying with you the calm and quiet magic of the icicle's language. Inside, the hearth fire crackles softly, its amber glow wrapping the room in a comforting embrace. You settle by the fire, wrapped in thick woolen blankets, the soft glow of the flames reflecting in your closed eyelids. Outside, the village moves slowly, wrapped in the gentle rhythm of a winter morning. You feel the world soften and slow around you, the steady heartbeat of earth and ice pulsing in time with your own breath. Tonight, as you close your eyes and drift toward sleep, you carry with you the whispered songs of winter, a lullaby spun from ice and light, cradling you gently into the arms of rest and dreams, where frost learned to hold, not bite, where silence became sanctuary. There was a time, so long ago it feels like another life, when the cold was only something to endure. It came down from the mountains with a sharp-toothed wind, wrapped itself around chimneys and doorknobs, crept beneath cloaks and into boots, and settled deep in bones like a secret. The people spoke of it in hushed tones. They feared its silence. They hurried from task to task, head down, as if to finish before the chill could catch them. Fire was not a pleasure then. It was a fight. But then, something changed. Not all at once. Not like the first snowfall, which arrived sudden and silent, blanketing everything in a breath. No, this was a slow unfolding, a noticing. It began with a pause. A morning when the frost on the window did not seem cruel, but beautiful. A spider's web frozen into lace, a fern etched in glass by an invisible hand, and someone long ago stopped, held their breath, watched the light play across the pane. They did not run from the cold that day. They listened to it. Since then, generation by generation, the village came to understand that the cold is not an enemy, but a teacher. It does not rush. It slows. It hushes the buzzing heat of summer's chatter and draws the world into stillness. A sacred pause, a breath held at the edge of the year. Now, the villagers rise on the coldest mornings, not with dread, but with reverence. They open the shutters and let the frozen air in, just a little, to stir the fire's breath and cleanse the hearth. They walk slowly, wrapped in wool and silence, and let the frost speak. The cold has become a companion. It walks beside the fire, not against it. It sharpens the stars until they gleam like silver bells. It carves silence so pure, you can hear your thoughts bouncing gently back from the woods. It teaches you to value small warmths, a steaming bowl of broth, a second pair of socks, a dog curled tightly at your feet, the gentle weight of a hand placed on your shoulder. It asks for patience and gives clarity in return. You step outside now, not to escape, but to join it. The frost beneath your boots is thick and silver. The air smells of pine, of wood smoke, of sky. The snow is not just white. It is blue, pink in places where the dawn reflects, and almost violet where the shadows fold. You notice things more clearly in the cold. The way the icicles click against one another like wind chimes. The way your breath swirls into the air, as if each exhale is a message, a story told to the waiting trees. Even the animals move differently. The fox, silent but confident. The birds fluffing their feathers like monks in meditation. There is a rhythm to it all, a stillness that isn't empty, a peace that isn't silence. You learn to meet the cold as you would an old friend, one who does not demand words, but sits with you in the quiet, one who asks you nothing, but teaches you everything. It shows you how to savor warmth, not the hurried warmth of summer, but the earned, grateful warmth of winter. The way your cheeks glow when you come inside, the way your fingers stretch toward a cup of tea like flowers toward sunlight, the way your body sinks slowly into a straw bed, the weight of the wool blanket pulling you into dreams. And when night falls, as it always does, the cold is there again, not waiting outside the door, but resting beside it, like a watchful spirit. It wraps the house, not to suffocate it, but to hold it in stillness, a pearl tucked safely in its shell. Inside, the fire sings its lullaby, low, steady, glowing. You lie back in your bed, eyes half closed, watching the last flickers dance on the timber walls. The cold curls up beside you, no longer the wolf at the door, but the snow hare in the drift, the owl in the rafters, the hush that blesses the house. Tonight, you do not fear the cold. You do not rush to shut it out. You let it stay. It does not bite. It cradles. It does not steal. It slows. It lets you rest. Deeply, quietly, fully. And in that sleep, you dream of still forests and bright stars, of frost-dusted meadows and warm bread, of quiet mornings with no need to speak, only to feel that even the coldest nights can be soft, even the longest winters can be kind, even the cold can be a friend, where memory becomes mist and the world lays down to dream. It is late now, the kind of late that belongs not to clocks, but to stars. to the silence between breaths, to the hush that comes when all the chores are done, and the world itself begins to exhale. In the village, not a single lamp glows, not a whisper rises from hearth or barn. Even the animals curled in their straw-lined dens have followed the rhythm of the season, slow, soft, still. This is not just night, this is deep night, the kind that folds itself around roofs and forests, around riverbanks and watchful trees, and bids the land forget, just for a while, what it means to be awake. And here, in this sleep, a story is told, without words, without pages, without sound. You walk through this story, barefoot, yet warm, alone, but never lonely. The snow beneath your feet does not crunch, it sighs, a soft, endless sigh of rest. The moon above is not silver tonight. It is pearl, pale, glowing, and full of the dreams of old things. You pass through the village like a shadow, but the houses do not fear you. They welcome you. Their walls lean inward in quiet affection. The shutters are closed not against you, but to cradle what sleeps within. In one cottage, a baby stirs, not in worry, but in rhythm with the fire's slow breathing. A mother hums without waking. A cat shifts once in its woven basket, then curls again, tail touching nose, held safe in the hush. And still, you walk, out past the mill, where the wheel is frozen in place, past the smithy, where the tools hang silently, dreaming of steel and summer, past the chapel, whose bell has not rung in weeks, and whose candles have long since become hollow wax streams wrapped in dust. And then beyond, into the trees. The forest no longer whispers, it listens. The wind has stopped moving. The stars no longer twinkle. They simply watch, bright, wide-eyed, tucked into the black quilt of the sky. This is the sleep of the old world, a sleep that began before kings and castles, before ink and parchment, before roads and iron. This is the sleep that comes once in a very long time, when the land itself needs to close its eyes, to rest, to remember. Even the river has fallen still, a long ribbon of silver glass winding through the valley, quiet as breath. Somewhere beneath its frozen surface, fish dream slowly, in rhythms only the deep earth knows. And somewhere under the snow, roots curl inwards, listening to a lullaby made not of song, but of slowness, of stillness, of time set gently aside. You find a place to rest too. It could be a hollow tree, or a bed of straw in an empty stable, or the lap of a hillside blanketed in snow. Wherever it is, it fits you perfectly. It knows the shape of your back, the weight of your thoughts, the way your heartbeat wants to slow. You lie down, and the cold wraps around you, not like a threat, but like an old quilt, worn but loving, heavy enough to hold you in place, light enough to let you breathe. Above you, the sky begins to blur, not in storm or snow, but in softness. The stars become lanterns, swinging gently in the breeze that no longer moves. You see one blink, then another, and realize they are not stars at all. They are the watchful eyes of memories, old stories, of summer bonfires and grain threshing, and laughter that once echoed through the barn rafters, of the first boots ever made in the village, of the last snow before the forest grew thick, of names once whispered across doorways now mossy and worn. They are all here. The dreams of those who came before, not gone, only sleeping. Like you. And so you drift, not down but in, inward, where thoughts become feathers, where time becomes water, where the old world hums its low, endless song. You are not ending the journey, you are joining it, becoming another stone in the wall, another ember in the ash, another voice in the windless hush. You do not need to speak, you do not need to wake. The story continues without telling. It folds around you like the frost, like the firelight, like the lullaby of the long night. And if you were to listen, truly listen, you might hear what the old world dreams of. Not war, not conquest, not noise, but rain on thatched roofs, wool drying by firelight, the hum of bees in fields left fallow for healing, the heartbeat of a sleeping village, the slow stretch of roots beneath the soil, and your own breath, rising, falling, rising, falling, until you are nothing but peace. This is the long sleep of the old world, and tonight you are part of it, forever, or just until morning. Sleep now. The story has become you.